I mean, this is the luckiest man on the planet. I'm also incredibly talented, and first things first, is a great show, as is the podcast, and our friend Nick Wright.
Good to see you guys.
The Washington Post.
The Washington Post piece was sweet.
But my guy Ben
Out of
Strauss.
the paywall, I haven't been able to read it yet.
I mean, come on, man. Support print journalism.
I agree. I need to do that. Yes, I absolutely.
That Louis Vuitton fleece that I wore ends up being one of the greatest investments of my life. Can I tell you this quick story?
Yeah, you can. Yeah.
So it's not going to be that quick, but the first Chiefs Super Bowl 2019, Travis at the parade wears a full-length Louis Vuitton mink something, whatever. I looked it up online. It's like 20 grand. Like 2 years later, he and I had become friendly via social media, but still never met in person. And I DM'd him. I'm like, hey, what are the chances I can buy that coat from you? That feels like a one-wear item. And he said, he was like, man, I got to keep that. He's like, I don't know if I'll need it or whatever. I'm like, got it. The Chiefs then win the Super Bowl the last time they played the Eagles, so a couple Super Bowls ago. And Fox is like, you guys are going to the parade. And I'm like, all right, I gotta do something so Travis and I, who at that moment had never met in person, have a moment. So I go to the Louis Vuitton store, and they have a fleece, but it's Broncos colors. And I'm like, don't care, I'm wearing it. So I buy it. It works perfectly. Travis gets off the float, sees me, gives me a giant bear hug. He's like, oh, and you're wearing the Louis? And then he and I were out. And then he and I were out till 4 in the morning that night. Like, it was like, it could not have gone better. So now we go smash cut. A year later, Chiefs are obviously going to win the Super Bowl again. And I'm like, I got to find another Louis Vuitton fleece, but it's got to be Chiefs colors. I find one that existed for sale years ago. There is one seemingly for sale in the world. Some guy in Denmark has it. I find him. I buy it from him. I PayPal him extra money to overnight it. I get it the day before the parade, and I wear it, and that's the thing that I wore in the Washington Post piece. The problem is now this. They don't make any more fleeces. I'm out of, and they're obviously going to have another parade in a few days, and I don't know what I'm going to wear. So there's my short, not so short story.
God forbid you rewear
This is a window.
No, it's got to be a new thing.
I just want to give, this is a window into who you are. You love to strategize everything.
It worked out great, and now I got extra wears out of the Louis Vuitton fleece because that's what I'm wearing in the Washington Post piece, looking resplendent. I mean, just spectacular.
How can I think better than the rest and figure out what I need to do?
Right.
That's what you do.
The other thing that really has helped me is just be born in Kansas City and have become the greatest team of all time.
Right.
That's helpful.
That seems helpful.
Yeah, that was helpful.
So we're what, 3 days away from the game now?
Yeah.
I mean, how are we feeling? As confident as ever?
Well, listen, they can. I'm not gonna act like they can't lose. They can lose. They've lost a Super Bowl before. Philly's really good. They would have to make a catastrophic mistake to lose, though. My favorite stat of the three-peat is, in these last 3 years, if they don't lose the turnover battle, not if they win it, if they don't lose it, they're 34-1. And the one loss was week 1 last year, where the one turnover was the pick 6. So that's almost like a pick 6 is as bad as it gets. So if they don't make a mistake, and Philly on the other hand is 10-0 turnover. Like, they have lived off turnovers this postseason run. They're 10-0. The Chiefs have forced 0 and committed 1, and they're still here. So the Chiefs are the better team. The Chiefs should win, but Super Bowl, it's hard. And the only little tiny, almost indistinguishable blemish on Mahomes' resume is he's yet to have a all 4 quarters great Super Bowl. He's been amazing in 3 of the 4 second halves, but he's yet to have like a first play to last play great Super Bowl. Maybe he breaks that out on Sunday.
So, just bringing it back to Bears fans for a second here. I just want to remind people, you used to be on the radio in Kansas City complaining about the Chiefs on a daily basis, pointing at ownership. This is never, outlining.
They won 1 playoff game in the 25 years before Mahomes took over.
Thank you.
Like, Bears fans who think like, oh, the double doink, it can't get worse. Guys, the Chiefs in the 25 years before Mahomes took over, They were 13-3, the 1 seed, lost a playoff game by 3 points because their kicker missed 3 field goals, all shorter than the previous. They were 13-3, the 1 seed. John Elway, fourth quarter comeback, ripped their hearts out. They were 13-3, the 1 seed. They played Peyton Manning, and they never punted. By they, I mean the Chiefs never punted, and they lost. They were they were up 28 points on Andrew Luck. He fumbled the ball, recovered himself, and scored a touchdown, and they lost. They were up 18 points on Marcus Mariota. He threw a touchdown pass to himself. In the middle of that, they played the Steelers in a playoff game where the Steelers scored 0 touchdowns, the Chiefs scored 2, and the Chiefs lost. They had, in 25 years, they won 1 playoff game, and now they win all the Super Bowls. So, like, it can change. It does. You do have to, it helps if you have the greatest player in the history of the league.
All of these games, all of these games they actually won. Like you say in the Super Bowl, like the blemishes, that was the funniest part to me. Yeah. They won every single one of those Super Bowls.
Well, yeah, no, they right, but if we're trying to build the resume of the greatest player in the history of the league,
right.
It would be nice to have
Jordan was never down in 4 quarters.
Never.
Then you've got to have the start to finish. You don't have to, but it'd be nice to have the start to finish brilliant performance. And listen, I think they're going to score a lot. I think that they're the healthiest they've been all year. I think they're going to be able to move the ball. And the question is, are the Eagles going to match points? Last Super Bowl, I mean, the Chiefs have given up. In games they were trying, not week 18, twice in 3 years they've given up more than 28 points. Once the loss to the Bills, or more than 20, more than 29 points I should say. Once the loss to the Bills, and once the Super Bowl against Philly, they just won anyway.
So, forget how much is on the line for the Chiefs.
It's a nice watch, bro.
Thank you. I've had it for 20 years. Yeah. Forget how much is on the line for the Chiefs. How much is on the line for you? That is what we're worried about here.
Oh, you like money or credibility?
No.
No, I mean it's.
You are the Chiefs, so. Like,
I mean, them continuing to be great is very helpful professionally.
What's more important though is that we're, I think, about 3 months away, maybe that 6 months away from our next ball boy tryout. So,
and I'm not gonna have a herniated disc this time.
So I mean, I think that this is the key thing. After you.
Can I embarrass you?
Yeah, go ahead.
Absolutely,
you pretty easy.
Yeah. So Carm. So the U.S. Open, it's like, hey, we'd like to do a social media thing where Nick tries out to be a ball boy. And I love tennis. I love going to the U.S. Open. I don't like making a fool of myself. But I was like, I will do it if I can bring my dear friend, who this is literally a dream of his.
All he cares about.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I will do it if I can bring my buddy from Chicago. They're like, weird ask, but sure. So we do it, or they agree, and we're going. And then they're trying to take like footage of us like walking in and doing stuff. And this guy, I don't know why, is like, I'm just gonna be peak goofy, bouncing off the walls, just like saying the goofiest stuff, to the point to where,
I was excited.
I love this man.
I was excited.
Carmen and I lived together. I love this guy. I had to pull him aside. I'm like, buddy, this is not the image I'm trying to present. We have to.
Honestly, what's scary about it is that I have no idea that I was doing anything wrong. Right now, like what was I really don't think I did anything wrong.
I want you to know that we have this conversation every day.
Every day. Because when he meets nervousness, he greets it with more awkwardness. That's exactly what he is.
I mean, he's one of the best people in the world. I love him so much. But at some point, I'm like, man, like, I'm not a big deal, but I'm a person that kind of matters, and I have brought you with me. And they're like, who is this guy?
All I tried to do was literally walk like normal.
You couldn't.
I couldn't do it. Apparently,
he was seeing all the posters of the champions.
Well, it was so exciting. There was the Joker was there.
But you know what? You are partly responsible. After we talked to you a couple weeks ago, after you came off the air, I turned to him and I said, between you and Danny Parkins, I've now understood why Mark is partly the way he is. You guys, it's like Frankenstein's monster.
Listen. It's all. Everything's fine, and we'll let Nick go. But the way this started was when Nick was 27, and I came down to Kansas City to be his producer, update guy, sidekick, whatever. And I see him for the first time.
You want me to do it?
Yeah, he's
I'm
hosting
doing the radio show. Because this is how I would do the radio show. I would start like this. I'm holding the mic, but I'm fidgety. So I'd be moving, and then eventually I'd just be on the chair in what he calls a catcher's stance doing the radio show. And I wouldn't even know I was doing it. And this guy is 10 years older than me, moved from a different place to come work with me. It's like they hired me to work with a lunatic, with a crazy person.
Yes, I'm like, this is a different looking cat.
Yeah.
And he's fidgeting around like it's no one I've ever seen.
This is
and
all true.
And then it took me, I'll blow you up, but that took me about 2 weeks. I'm like,
then it was the greatest thing that ever happened to your career.
I was like, this dude's the most talented guy I know.
This is the greatest thing that ever happened to your career.
Yeah.
Since we're talking old radio stories, he was hired to do two things. I gotta get you, buddy. One was book guests, and the other was do the updates. The very first show we ever did, he booked Tom Izzo, which is a great guest, not really relevant to like the Kansas City market at the time.
By the way, that means David Kaplan booked Tom Izzo.
I literally called him and said I was calling that this is for Cap.
Yeah, and so
I did that.
And so I realized in short order, I was like, this guy's Rolodex is Tom Izzo, and that's it. So the guest booking's not really going to happen. And then he's going to do updates. And listen, I never could do sports updates. I think they're an underrated, very difficult thing. But this guy was the worst update guy ever.
They were horrible.
Just consistently awful. And so then I was just like, listen, man, I love you and I want us to work together, but we're just going to have to change the role entirely. And you're just going to be... He was Stugotz before Stugotz, or maybe with at the same time, and we just didn't know it. And was, it led to fame and fortune.
There it is.
So that's the story.
You're terrible at your job.
We've got to change your job.
You're a pretty good host, and you can be
You're
a character.
You're a visionary.
Thank you.
Yeah. We should tie this all together.
Tie it together, yeah.
So in 3 days, we got to figure out whatever in you got with Travis Kelce. Mm-hmm. We'll support the Chiefs on Sunday in exchange for you getting some type of in with Trey Smith and convincing him to come to Chicago.
So I saw that. So you guys are going to try to steal him?
Yeah. Yeah.
You might have. He's a great player. Great player.
He's asking us about pizza joints.
I obviously would like the Chiefs to keep him. If he has to go anywhere, to go block for Caleb would be great. I love Trey. They drafted Trey and Creed. So the Chiefs, listen, people get annoyed when I say this because they say it's arrogant or patronizing the rest of the league. It's just true. The Chiefs play 2-game seasons every year, and it starts in the AFC Championship game. If they go 0-1, which has happened twice, both in overtime, but it's happened twice. They've had 2 0-1 seasons. You go winless for your season, you make a massive change. The first time it happened, they fired their defensive coordinator. The second time it happened, they traded Tyreek Hill. If they go 1-1, as happened in 2020, they look at the team and figure out why did we not go 2-0, and they remake one part of the team, was the offensive line, and they signed Tooney, they brought in Creed, they drafted Creed, and they drafted Trey Smith, and those guys have been excellent. If they go 2-0, obviously they hold a parade. I would hate to lose Trey Smith, but he's great. And if he goes anywhere, it would make a lot of sense for Chicago. So that'd be great.
If the Bears, you give him $21 million to a guard?
You got to spend the money somewhere. You need good players.
Okay.
The thing is, you need good players.
Thank you. You need all pros somewhere on the roster.
You need good players, and you don't need to spend any more money on receiver, and you need. The real question, if you're the Bears, do you get involved in the Myles Garrett business? The answer is probably not. But yeah, I think Trey Smith would be money well spent. The Chiefs spent top of the market money for Joe Tooney. He's been awesome every single year. And the Chiefs kind of made a choice. They paid Creed this offseason. They didn't pay Trey. So listen, maybe they'll bring him back, but I don't know.
Show's live on Bourbon today?
Live on Bourbon, absolutely.
So FS1,
3 o'clock Central.
3 o'clock Eastern, 2 o'clock Central.
Right, that's what I meant. 3 o'clock Eastern, 2 o'clock Central.
Have a great weekend.
Appreciate you. Later, bro.
See ya.